But a kettlebell swing is not by any means the first place I would start someone. So oftentimes I've got to tell someone like, hey, this is where you are. Let's reestablish some good positioning. The number one thing, honestly, that as it relates to coaching movement in the gym and outside, you said it perfectly. So I would say micro movements create macro movements. Okay. The ability to just make these small fine-tunements in awareness. Awareness is the biggest thing in and out of the gym that is going to create the prerequisites for change anywhere. So just having the awareness of how you're holding yourself, as if you want to think about, yes, you want to roll the shoulders back and down. You want to get, most importantly, get as tall as you can, as if someone was pulling a string from the crown of your head up, right, from the ceiling, like a dancer might be. That is the type of posture we want to be in on a day-to-day basis, but also you take that posture and you can apply it to anything in the gym. So I would say awareness is the most important. And then depending on that posture, if we want to focus on the physical aspect, like you mentioned, briefly, like just how someone's feeling will impact their posture. So honestly, there may be no amount of rows or static wall leans for the neck posture. If you're not dealing with some of the things in your life or not aware of them, it's going to be that are closing down your heart center. It's going to be hard to open up or at least maintain that position when you're unconscious. So I would say awareness as a whole, I would say looking at the emotional components. And then from there, it's really about opening up a lot of everything that's on the front of the body and starting to strengthen from an endurance perspective everything that's on the back. Okay, because when you look at posture, you're looking at endurance muscles of the body, long duration. We're meant to stand for hours on end. So if you just do 5 heavy rows, yes, that'll start strengthening the back, but you typically will not be able to maintain it unless you train for longer durations.
I just feel like pulling is such a important thing that honestly most people don't do. Like pulling develops all those like the posterior muscles that hold us upright, and gravity's always trying to beat us down. Like right now, if we were to not be aware, gravity would just put us on the ground. And I think most people, because of the incessant monkey mind, life's responsibilities, just things that are really loading them both emotionally and physically. Without knowing it, they can just maybe an inch or two slip forward. So doing this type of training, like how does this emotionally impact people? Because I know physically, we all want to look good because it's nice to look good, but from like a longevity and health standpoint, how does this type of training impact people's emotional health?
What do they call it? The power posture, the power position when you stand tall and you put your hands on your hip, right? Like just like that,
like Jordan Peterson says, stand up tall with your shoulders back. It's in 12 Rules for Life. It's one of his postures. It's a reason it's in there, right? He talks about it in his work.
I mean, what can you do from that posture? Not only does it truly embody like a superhero type posture, so you can step into the identity of the person that you're trying to be, but also too, I mean, one of the beautiful things that I admire and appreciate about you is we just did you gave me an invitation to do 7 minutes of your breathwork program, which was not only awesome, but also it allowed me to not only get more grounded, tune into my body, get more clear. And it's very hard when you look at posturally. So when you're in this exaggerated kyphotic position, when your rib cage collapses down here, it's very hard to get a full diaphragmatic breath.
Yeah.
So when you open up the body, you can actually get that full diaphragmatic breath. And that is one of the biggest, at least in my experience, anchors to being grounded, being more in your body, feeling more confident. And so whether it's from that identity, that power position of the person you want to be and step into, or simply just the biomechanics of getting a full breath, that'll change the game on someone's emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And the way that they can fill, I learned from Dr. Belisa Vranich, she wrote Breathing for Warriors, to breathe into the back of the kidneys, actually. She calls it vertical breathing versus horizontal breathing. So most people breathe like this, right? And then they're just tensioning their scalenes and they're more kyphotic and they're more forward flexed. So I'm curious to go through your program because I know that there's like a stretch protocol, but is there also breath awareness in the program as well? Like how did you integrate that in there?
Oh, dude, you get me all excited, bro. You get me all excited. Yeah, I mean, this is a reflection of not only how I teach, but of my life. And so every single morning there's every phase you have a new morning routine that's under 10 minutes long. That incorporates what I call a core temperature warm-up, so warming up the fascia, warming up the nervous system. And then we move directly into a few mobility exercises, primarily focused on the spine. For me, the spine is priority over everything when it comes to training. Then from there, we do typically between 2 to 4 breathing exercises. and you're done. So breathing is incorporated. Even honestly, depending on where someone's at, like they don't have to do the entire workout program or whatever. If someone, and so many people have commented on this, just doing the 10-minute morning routine change the game for someone.
Yeah.
Change the game. So there's a morning routine. Again, there's individualized stretching, active meditations, and intelligently programmed kettlebell workouts for both level 1 beginner people who, let's say, either have zero kettlebell experience or even little to no resistance training experience, and then a level 2, which is going to be more your intermediate, maybe with some fitness experience and or a little kettlebell experience, but they really want to take their performance, their athleticism to a whole nother level. That's what it's perfect for.
Okay, while you're watching this, just click a new window open, or if you're in the car, just tell your wife or your husband. Just go to wellnessforce.com/kettlebell, and you can learn about Mike's program right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious about, from a emotional perspective, again, I know we're talking about physical intelligence today, but so much of the request for the show, it's just like, how do I get out of stress? How do I get out of overwhelm? How do I get out of anxiety? How do I get rid of panic? And so I think about this concept of movement as medicine. And what are the things that we can't see about movement? And what is the medicine that we can't see about movement? What does that really mean? How are we healing ourselves through movement? But it's not just how big our biceps are or our body. Like, what's the healing part of movement as medicine?
I mean, there's so much there, but like one of the biggest thing is movement is pumping. Movement, you're pumping the lymphatic system, but the other thing is you're pumping energy and stagnant energy. And that's also why, and even, I was just thinking when I was back at Soltara, which is an ayahuasca medicine center, I'd brought a large group down there, myself and Connor Moore, and I didn't have anything to do with the medicine work other than just bringing people down. But what I did contribute was movement workshops. So body weight from stretching to movement. And what I did is, even though like we could look at the biomechanics of like a psoas stretch or whatever it is, or an elbow, which is incredible, but when you look at movement via energy centers in the body, you can do, and that's what working in is essentially. You're utilizing movement to create not only awareness, breath, pumping, and like getting stagnant energy to move. And that is like when we're sitting down all day, like you're a lot of times, specifically if our posture is poor, you're physically and emotionally going to be more likely to be stagnant.
I just got a visual of like a dead end lake where all the sediment sits. It's kind of what happens in our body, yeah?
100%.
From a blood perspective, it's like our sediment gets stuck, and then we emotionally are just bathing in our own shit.
Yeah, you're just
It's not funny, but it is funny because it's like, well, here's how to fix it.
Well, dude, I love that. I mean, you got that stagnant lake versus a stream or a river. And that's why you don't want to be drinking, even if it's clean, if it's let's say, contaminated or whatever water, you don't want to be drinking out of a stagnant lake. But you can drink out of that mountain water, that Shasta water all day, bro. And that will energize, vitalize. So, you can take, exercise. It's any exercise is medicine, right? And I don't believe, and maybe people have heard this, but there really is with good technique, or more or less, there's no bad exercise. There's only a wrongly prescribed exercise, right? So if you understand some movement principles, any movement can be an energizing activity. So as an example, if you're to do a pushing exercise or a pressing exercise with the upper body, we can look at it from two perspectives. Pressing exercise for the upper body, you're going to get energy and flow to the chest, to the upper back. You're going to open up the heart center. The other thing too is you can look at it from from the perspective, if you really want to exercise your boundaries in life, you're having trouble saying no, pushing away is exerting. That's like you're saying no to things. When you're pulling, you're opening, you're receiving. So you can look at it from that. And what I would encourage people to do with all their movement practice, whether it's training hard in the gym, which will be a little bit more challenging to do this, but when you're unloaded and your focus is energizing the body, put intention to it. Make it be a ritual. So many things in my life now, I've got so much more richness from simply by adding an intention practice before. So again, if you're doing a body weight or even just an energy pushing forward, pulling back, you're exhaling, working with your breath, letting go of what you don't need right now, bringing in gratitude, bringing in what you want to energize, filling the body. You do that for literally, even if it's just 1 to 5 minutes,
Yeah.
game changer.